Welcome again to our YouTube channel. Temptation is not sin. Temptation is not sinful. Many people have equated temptation to be sin. Temptation is not sin. And those who have equated temptation to be sinful have suffered a false guilt of sin. Temptation is not sinful. Temptation is not sin. We must understand that temptation is an attraction to sin. An attraction to sin or desire for something that is wrong. Desire for something that is wrong, and often that desire for something that is wrong is seen as a test. We are being tested by the evil one, but being tested by the evil one is not equal to sin. Temptation is a human experience, while sinfulness is yielding to sin or indulging or acting upon temptations. It is human to have the urge to sin. It is human to have the enticement. If one stops at the enticement, at the urge to sin, if one stops at the attraction to sin, the attraction for wrong things, it is not sinful. Sin comes with conscious decision to act upon that enticement. The decision to follow the urge. If you decide to follow the human urge that you have and actualize it, it becomes sin. But if you are attracted by sin, if you have the urge to sin, if you have the desire for something that is wrong and you stop there, that is not sinful. But many have suffered that false guilt of sin which they have not committed. Yes, they have the enticement to sin. Yes, they have the urge to sin. Yes, they have the desire for all the wrong things. But they have not actualized it. It is not sinful. Temptations are real. Temptations are human experience. When you are tempted, when you are enticed, when you have the urge, the desire to do something that is wrong, it means you are human. It means you are human. It is not being unspiritual. You are still a spiritual person. You are still a human being. You are still a believer. Being tempted, having the urge to sin, having the desire for wrong things, does not make you an unspiritual. It only confirms that you are a human being and you are subject to temptation. And this temptation can arise from personal desires, sinful flesh passions, passions of the body, desires of the mind, and even they can come from external forces, being lured externally. The danger for all of us who go through temptations is when we dwell on temptations and allow the temptations to become. The danger that we have as human beings when we undergo temptations is dwelling on those temptations and allowing them to become, allowing them to actualize in our lives. When we dwell on these temptations, then what we will get at the end of it is a conceived act of sin. because we have dwelt on the temptations, we have allowed it to become, and we have indulged in that enticement of sin. Therefore, we have a conceived act of sin. Some people have lived with this false guilt of sin for a long time. That is, taking temptation as if it is a sin. And they have forgotten the responsibility given and the obligation to fight the temptation and not allow ourselves to succumb into temptations. We have a responsibility as believers, an obligation as believers, to fight against temptations. Why do we fight against temptations? Because temptations are real and we have to experience them. The only thing we have to do is to master the moment of temptations in our lives. To master the moment of temptations in our lives. And we have to be aware that temptations can sometimes be specific. There are temptations, for example, that are specific to speech. Temptations to sin that are specific to speech. For example, some speech temptations, let's see. For example, you can be tempted to say something that you shouldn't. You may be tempted to say something that you shouldn't. Or another temptation that is specific to speech is you may be tempted to remain silent when you should speak up. You may be tempted to remain silent when you should speak up. Those are all temptations specific to speech. You may be tempted, for example, to speak when you should not speak. Either tempted to speak when you should not speak, or tempted to be silent when you are supposed to speak up. Sometimes you may be betrayed. You may be tempted to betray confidence. But always we have to remember this. Whether there are temptations that are specific or not specific, we have to remember that temptations are an invitation to complicate our own lives. By the way, our lives are already complicated. And the moment we're invited to complicate it further and we join in it, we make things worse for ourselves. That temptations are an invitation to complicate our own lives through sinful actions or sinful omissions. Invitation to complicate our lives through sinful actions or omissions. We have to allow ourselves to understand that we need not to dialogue with temptations. We must not dialogue with temptations. Jesus gives us an example. Jesus was tempted by the evil one, but he did not sin. Why? Because he stopped at being tempted. He did not succumb into temptation. He never had that much dialogue and dwelling on it. Remember, the first thing the devil did when he was tempting Jesus, the first thing the devil did is that he appealed to the humanity of Jesus. How did he appeal to the humanity of Jesus? He appealed to him by telling him, turn these stones to become food for you to eat, because you are hungry. You have been fasting for 40 days. You have not eaten anything, and you need something to eat. And therefore, turn these stones to become bread for you to eat. He appealed to his human nature, to his humanity. And remember the response? Jesus started quoting scripture to him. He did not dialogue about stones becoming bread. He did not ask, how can that be? He quoted scripture to the evil one, fighting against the temptation that was coming from the evil one. He quoted the scripture to the evil one. And the devil also changed tactic. The devil changed tactic and also started or began to quote scripture himself to Jesus. That's a great example we have there. How to fight temptations. You don't fight temptations by dialoguing with it, by reasoning with it. But as a Christian, we can fight temptations through prayer, through scripture, like Jesus did. We have to remember that the devil is always cunning. He appeals to our pride also. The same thing he did. He tried to appeal to Jesus' pride when he said, okay, look, if only you do this, I'll give you all these kingdoms. That's appealing to the pride. Remember what happened in the Garden of Eden? When the evil one came to tempt Eve, the devil appealed to the pride of Eve by saying, did God say you should not eat from some trees in the garden and blah, blah, blah. They continued then, oh no. Then it is Eve who corrected the evil one, the snake, and said, no, we were asked not to eat from this particular tree. So when the evil one appealed to the pride of Eve, Eve took pride and corrected the evil one and said, no, we were told not to eat from this particular tree. So she entered into a dialogue. And when she entered into dialogue with temptation, what happened? Filled with pride, Eve was easily taken by the main attack and she fell. Filled with pride, she was superior with the evil one. She was even correcting the evil one about what the Lord had said, from which tree not to eat. And there she was taken down because she allowed herself to enter into dialogue about the temptation. She entered into dialogue with the evil one. She entered into dialogue with the temptation, and therefore she fell. The devil will lie, and he constantly does lie in order to get us into conversation. Will lie to us in order to enter into conversation with us so that he can appeal to our intellectual pride. And the moment he enters into our intellectual pride, we fail. We must not dialogue with the devil. And the temptations can say so many things to us. They can say something like, everybody's doing it. Why not you? You are the only one who has not done it. Oh, are you still a virgin? Oh my goodness, you are missing a lot. Everyone is doing it. Hello? Everyone is doing it. You are the only one who has not smoked weed. Everyone is doing it. Everyone is doing it. I am not everyone. I am me. Everyone is doing it. Or, it won't matter. It's only once. It won't matter. It's only once. It won't matter. It's only once. That's how sometimes temptation come to us. It won't matter, it's only once. Or, it is your graduation, you deserve it. I deserve it. That's how sometimes temptation come to us. They will speak something like that to us. You deserve it. You deserve to have this lady. You are 21 years already. You deserve it. No. Or it can even tell you, no one will know. It's only the two of us. No one will know. I'm only telling you this. No one will know. I'm only telling you. No one will know. Those are all forms and ways the devil can speak to us. No one will know. It only once, it will not matter. You deserve it. You have been waiting for so long. Everybody's doing it. Why not you? Do not be tempted to enter into any dialogue with temptations or the evil one. Refuse to engage with the temptations. Refuse to engage with any temptations. And as you wait for the temptation to pass, you ought to pray unceasingly. As you wait for the temptation to pass, you have to pray unceasingly. Replace the dialogue with the devil. Replace the dialogue with the evil one. Replace the dialogue with temptations with the dialogue of prayer. Replace that dialogue with the dialogue of prayer. You can formulate simple prayer for yourself in order to confess to God. For example, saying, God, I know what is good and true, but I'm still attracted to what is wrong. Be my strength. Give me strength. You're just confessing to God of what you are going through. Lord, I know what's right and what is true, but I'm still attracted to sinful things. Give me strength. Be my strength. And sometimes the temptation might be very overwhelming, maybe great, that we are even unable to formulate words to use in our own prayer. That is when we find refuge in formulated prayers. Sometimes the temptation might be so great that we are unable even to formulate our own words in prayer. That's when we find refuge in formulated prayers, in formulated words for prayer. For example, in Scripture, we have one, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And that we find in Matthew 6:9. Just say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I'm going through this. Our Father who art in heaven, why am I going through this? Take those formulated words of prayer as you wait for the temptation to pass. If you are unable to formulate your own prayer words or your own prayers, simple prayers, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Or you say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, as the angel said in Luke 1:28. As you wait for the temptation to pass, engage in dialogue of prayer, confessing to God, God, I know what is right and what is good and what is true, but I'm still attracted to sinful things, sinful ways, wrongful things. Be my strength. Give me strength. And if you cannot formulate your own words that you can use to pray, use the formulated words of prayer in Scripture, Our Father who art in heaven, that we find in Matthew. Hallowed be thy name, how great are you? Give me power to overcome this. Or, Hail Mary, full of grace, as we find in Luke 1:28. Therefore, we have to replace the dialogue with temptation or the dialogue with the evil one during temptation with the dialogue of prayer. We have to fight temptation with prayer, because temptation is not sin, it's human, and we have to experience it. We have to be watchful against temptations, especially temptation involving speech. Those are the easiest temptations many people succumb to. You may have a desire, for example, to commit adultery, but you can work on it. But temptations that involve speech are the easiest that we succumb to very easily. Use of words in ways that are harmful to others. We usually succumb very quickly. We have to be watchful to those kind of temptations. Using words to dishonor God, or degrade other people, or degrade ourselves. It is so easy to be tempted through speech. Easy to gossip, very easy to lie, very easy to slander, very easy to boast, very easy to flatter, very easy to mock others, very easy to ridicule, very easy to criticize. We have to be watchful against those cheap temptations, especially those involving speech. They are very easy. We are easily tempted through those temptations that involve speech. Very easy to be tempted. Easy to gossip, lie, slander, boast, flatter, mock other people, ridicule, or criticize. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, let us remember tonight that temptation is not sinful. Temptation is not sin. Temptation is real. Temptation proves that we are human, is a human experience. We need only to master the moments of temptations and fight them accordingly. Let us watch out for temptations and understand that temptations are not sinful. To be tempted is not to sin. May God bless you and embrace you. See you another day.